of symbology.
What is at stake? It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind.
My question to you is, in any of your government jobs, have you ever been briefed on the subject of UFOs? And if you have, when was it? What were you told?
Well, if I had been briefed on that, I'm sure it was probably classified and I couldn't talk about it.
When I got out in 1989, we had cataloged 57 different species.
We walked over to one side of the lab and he said, by the way, we've discovered a base.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Skywatchers Radio.
Greetings and salutations, fellow Skywatchers from all corners of the globe. Welcome to another exciting episode of Skywatchers Radio on the Dark Matter Radio Network and PSN Radio on this lovely May 20th, 2015. As always, I'm one of your humble hosts on this strange ride that we take every single week right here.
And the ride is a roller coaster.
Yes, it is. Every week, up and down. And, of course, I am Angel Espino, and with me, as always, is that gentleman over there to my left, the other guy.
All right.
This is Skywatchers Radio. Stick around.
Let you know if that happens.
All right, everybody, we're live on Skywatchers Radio, back on the Dark Matter Radio Network, and, of course, PSN Radio. If you want to call in and ask any questions of our guest tonight, please do so at 786-245-8127. Of course, you could find us later on and hear the podcast after it's done on skywatchersradio.com. Now with us is a returning guest and somebody who we almost by accident didn't have on tonight, and I was really kind of like bummed out if he wasn't going to make it on, because we had such a great time with this gentleman when he was here a few weeks back. Of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, Kosta Makreas. I'm just going to call you Gus. Can I call you Gus?
No, you can call me Kosta.
Damn, I wanted to call him Gus.
Oh,
okay, Kosta.
No, you can...
Kosta.
It's Kosta.
Kosta.
Hey, very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Now, you had such a good time here that you didn't come alone this time. You brought a friend. Hollis
I did,
Polk.
and I liked
That's
it.
no friend. That's my wife.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but I was just
a friendly wife.
Friend so much, I married her. So, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum.
Aww.
Yes, this is my lovely other half, Hollis Polk.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Hollis.
Thank
It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, Hollis. You know, the audience already knows a little bit about Gus over here, Gus. And, you know, they still don't know you, so tell the audience who's listening in. I know you've done radio in the past. You told me that earlier, and that's cool. I mean, how long has it been since you've done your own radio show?
A couple years, actually about 2 years.
What kind of a radio show was it?
Well, I'm a clairvoyant, among other things, and so I was the host, and I was interviewing other people. It was kind of a more spiritually oriented show, so spiritual things, psychic things, relationship things. It was really fun, actually.
Nice.
And I had some great guests.
What made you stop doing the show, though? Why'd you stop doing it?
Let's just say other things became more important. And honestly, I don't know how much time it takes you guys to produce this show, but it took me about 8 hours a week to produce a 1 hour show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So, well, because it was just me, right? I didn't have a co-host, so I had to have a lot of material in case my guests didn't show up or they, you know.
Yeah.
I have a co-host, and I have the same problem, so don't feel bad.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Go ahead. Rub it in. Go ahead. Yeah. Sure.
And if
We
he doesn't
believe
show
ya.
up, what do you do?
I go on without him.
There
The
you
show
go.
must go on.
Yeah,
So-
when
And
he
then-
doesn't show up, he does a rerun.
Yeah, so the world is good.
He never lets me do things by myself.
Aw,
terrible.
poor baby.
Oh,
Alan, do
it's
you
horrible.
think you could actually do this show by yourself?
Probably not, but it would be fun to watch everybody listen to me fail.
Okay, here, I'm going to mute myself for the next 5 minutes. I want you to conduct an interview with Kosta and Hollis here, and I'm just going to mute myself and let you talk away.
Okay, I think I might be able to handle that. So, as you were saying about switching from doing the radio, what did you switch over to doing after?
Softball question. Go ahead.
To be honest, a lot of real estate.
Okay, that's a fair answer.
That's a legit answer. Yes,
that's a fair answer. Did you have any? Did you end up having any crop circles on any of the real estate in that case?
No. I've never seen a crop circle. I actually would like to. It's one of those things in the glorious future.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a UFO? Have you had any kind of sighting?
Oh yes. Oh, have I seen UFOs? So, we figure, since Kosta was here before, but he didn't tell you how I came to be interested in ETs. We'll tell you now.
Not. Yes.
Sounds good. Okay.
Would you like us to tell you a story, Alan?
Sure. Tell us a story. Hold on. Let me get myself tucked into bed. Let me get the book out. No, don't tell us this. How about this?
This is why he's the other guy.
Kosta,
right?
Kosta, no. You're supposed to be out of this, Angel. Kosta, don't tell me story. Tell me the truth. Tell me the facts.
Yeah, and I certainly will.
They're the same thing.
They're the same thing.
Not always.
Correct.
A story and facts are not always the same thing.
In my world, they are.
You're lucky.
Call me crazy. I have integrity. Okay, you're crazy.
You're one of the few and the rare.
Makes at least one of us on this call, or two of us on this call, has integrity. What about you?
4?
No, the two of you, I said. At least the 2 of the 4 have integrity on the show. What do you think, other guy? You have any integrity left?
Yeah, I sold my soul to the devil, and he came collecting the other day. So yeah.
Yes.
Actually, he came to me and wanted to give you back. But anyway,
no refunds. We said no refunds, man. You're stuck.
Yeah. So this starts in 2006 when my childhood interest in UFOs, which had been pretty dormant because I, after childhood, went on and did really normal things other than read about UFOs and look at the sky, like, get an education, get a job, married, have kids, remarried, etc. However, in 2006, everything changed when I discovered the Disclosure Project, which had a lot of witnesses who came from the military, from government, corporations, who talked about very soberly UFOs and the activities they'd been involved in. This made me so interested that I went on a week's field trip to Mount Shasta here in Northern California, which involved multi-hour nightly training under the stars, learning a proper way to meditate with a group in order to do human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials. And that was the secret sauce. Instead of waiting half my life, like many other people, for an encounter to happen, this was so very different, where we actually initiated the contact, held the contact, and got a conversation going. So as part of that week-long of learning these Close Encounter of the Fifth Kind protocols that make the ET connection, I had up close and personal experiences. I think I probably talked about that the last time I was on the show. Mm-hmm. But every morning after the previous evening, when we were out for several hours and seeing all kinds of things, and keep in mind this was life-changing for me. It's one thing to hear other people's secondhand stories all your life, but to have your own experience is something else. So,
well, we have to back up and say, when Kosta told me he wanted to go, I was like, go, honey, have a good time. I'm sure it's all true, but it doesn't affect my life. Go, right. Enjoy yourself.
Guess what? Things changed when he got back, didn't it?
3 weeks later.
Well, hold that thought, Kimosabe. Even
okay, Tanto Kosta.
Even sooner and stranger than you think. Stranger, not just stranger squared. What happened was every morning I would call Hollis back home 4 hours away and tell her about the previous night's activities. And there was always something going on the ground or in the sky. And it was also new that I was very excited, and told her, like I am sitting here now telling your audience and you, stories about what I'd seen in the sky that did not behave like anything we knew about, and that would flash on.
You were as giddy as a schoolgirl.
Yes.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
Is someone talking out of class. I am male, and I'm staying that way for right now, but I was pretty giddy. And then if I change my mind, you'll be the first to get that interview, okay?
Yes.
Sure, Mr. Jenner.
He'll be your Diane Sawyer. Yeah.
Sure, Mr. or Miss Jenner, if you say so.
If I say so. So about the fourth morning, or maybe the fifth, where I'm doing this hour-long download to Hollis, telling her, ooh, here's what happened last night, ooh. Before I could get started, she stopped me and said, wait a minute, I've got a story for you this time, and I'll let her take it from here.
Okay. So the night before, I was sitting in bed reading, like you do, and I turned out the light. You know how, like, you're kind of still sitting up in bed when you're reading, and then you turn out the light, and then you kind of have to, like, kind of roll over and get down under the covers? Well, I turned out the light, but I was still sitting up, and there were these 4 little beings standing around the foot of the bed looking at me.
Okay.
And I'm clairvoyant, but there are 2 different kinds of clairvoyance. There's internal clairvoyance where you get images, pictures, whatever, of things. Sometimes they're real, sometimes they're symbolic. Right. And then there's external clairvoyance where you see auras, where you see beings, where you see with your eyes things that most people can't yet see. I'm not overly good at the external clairvoyance. Every now and then in the right light, I'll see somebody's aura, but I don't even see it in colors. I see like a gray thing, I don't see much.
Right.
But when I
So you don't think this was that then?
No.
Okay.
This was with my eyes. There were these 4 little beings. They were white, and they were white. They were 3.5 to 4 feet tall. They had a head, 2 arms. I assume they had 2 legs, but I don't really know because they were standing around the foot of the bed, and I can't, the bed cut that off. The heads were a little bit large. I couldn't see distinct features or anything.
So you couldn't tell they were like the distinctive, like the Greys, for example, that everybody talks about.
It's funny you should mention that. Actually, just about a year ago, I had a chance to talk to Clifford Stone.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. And he said, I described what I was seeing, and he, kind of a long story, but he went, oh yeah, those are type 2 Greys. And then he pulled out a painting that somebody else had done of these beings.
Oh, wow.
It was actually quite amazing. He had brought this painting to a conference that we were all speaking at, and he thought he was going to use it in his talk, but he didn't. And then he went, oh, now I know why I brought it. I brought it for you. So, anyway,
that must have freaked you out when you saw that.
Well, here's the funny part. They were looking at me. There was so much love coming from them that I couldn't be afraid. Like, they were so sweet. I can't even, way better than humans, right? The nicest dog you've ever met? Like, that kind of energy, just all heart. And they were really curious, and they were just looking at me with this curiosity, like, who are you? That's all. They just wanted to know who I was. And I was shocked. I was not at all scared, but I was just shocked. Because I had never seen, this had nothing even remotely like this had ever happened to me before.
So did they reach out to you at all?
No, they just looked at me.
They just looked at you? Okay.
Yeah, they just stood there looking at me.
For how long?
God, it was a couple minutes. In a way it seemed like forever, but I know it wasn't very long. And I thought to myself, oh, I can, because I knew, right, because I could telepathically hear them go, who are you? So I knew that we could have this telepathic conversation. And I thought, oh God, what do I ask them? Because I couldn't, I was so shocked, right? And it's not like you planned for this.
Right.
So the only thing I could think to ask them was, where are you from? It was the only thing that, and I racked my brain.
That's a logical question. I think anybody in that situation would want to find that. Even Betty Hill, her first question to the aliens were, where are you guys from? That's logical. Yeah, that was. I think that was probably the first thing she asked them. And I think one of the answers they gave her was, do you know your star system? Do you know, like, the map of the universe? Do you know where you are? And she was like, no. They're like, well, so does it really matter if I tell you where I'm from? It's not like you're going to know. And then they showed her anyway like a diagram, and she drew later on the star map that NASA looked for like 10 years until they actually found the location of the stars that she was pointing out in the star map that they showed her. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very logical question to ask. I would ask the same thing.
So what I heard in my mind, and it came out very slowly, and I'll be honest. Well, okay, I'll tell you what I heard, and then I'll...
Don't lie to us. Don't lie to us.
So what I heard was Arcturus, like that. And I had never consciously heard of this, but it's possible that somewhere, in the depths of my unconscious, I had heard that and dredged it up, okay? So while I know those beings were there, I could not possibly have made that up. It's possible I could have made up where they were from. Like, that's possible. I don't think so, but it's possible. And then and then I was still so shocked I couldn't think of anything else to ask them. And after a while, we just stared at each other for a while, and then they just sort of melted away, kind of.
What? They melted away?
Well, you know what I mean. They disappeared. They dematerialized. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they faded
melting
out.
into they're fading out. Yeah, that's a better way of putting them melting away, because that's more like Terminator 2 technology.
No. Sorry, and you should know. Although I was totally a space geek as a kid, I didn't do anything with sci-fi. Nothing.
Oh, really?
I was not even remotely interested in science fiction. The only thing that I ever, anything besides the space program, which again, I was very into as a kid. The only other thing was my dad gave me Chariots of the Gods by Eric Van Daniken. And I read that, and that was it.
Yep.
So no sci-fi, nothing. Obviously that book had kind of primed me like, oh, they probably were here. But there's a long way to go from that and, the DVD of The Witnesses to here they are in my bedroom.
Well, let me ask you, have you had any other encounters since then with the aliens, with the same beings? Okay, more in depth?
I've had other things happen where one time up at Mount Shasta, Kosta and I were meditating. It was nighttime. We were out in the woods by ourselves, and this little being, it started off as kind of like a ball of light, about a little higher than the level of my heart, and closer than the length of my arm to me. There's like a little ball of light, and eventually it sort of like got longer, and it materialized into a very small being that stood on my knee.
Interesting.
It stood on my left knee, and I could feel it. There was like a pressure on my knee. Okay,
so it wasn't like a material that was see-through and really not organic. You could actually feel something like sitting on your knee.
I could feel it. Yeah, I could feel a pressure on my knee, and I could sort of see this little being. Again,
what did it feel like? Would it just feel like pressure? Did you feel like a slimy substance? What kind of feeling?
It was just, I had on a lot of clothes. We were outdoors.
How about a cat?
How about a cat? Yeah, vaguely like, if it was lighter than a cat. Of course, my cats are pretty big, but how if you have a cat's paw on you?
Okay.
Like, it's kind of like that.
Okay.
There was just like a little pressure on my knee, and I could see this little being, and then again, it wasn't there. That one wasn't there even a minute. That was probably, 30 seconds or something. It wasn't there very long, and then it just went back into its little ball and then disappeared.
Wow.
And during that same week is when I had, well, let me back up to the story about the ETs in our bedroom. As Hollis is telling me this story over the phone, my jaw's like hitting the ground. Like, wow, how did that happen? I'm supposed to be having all the action up here.
Well, and I know how it happened, right? They followed his thought energy to me.
And that's right. Energy follows thought, and we're all connected anyway. So somehow these beings from Shasta wondered where all this great amount of energy that I was putting out every morning, where it ended. And apparently they somehow found the destination at our home and traced it to Hollis. And that's why they were wondering, okay, who's this guy talking to? Who are you? Why are you so important? Why is he spending all this time? That kind of thing. So Hollis, after she tells me this story, and I'm gathering my jaw off the ground going, that's really cool. She says next, whereas she before had just been supportive and said, to me, you go on the expedition. I'm not that interested. I don't see how it affects my life. Now her comment after this experience was, next year I'm coming with you, cowboy. And she did. For many years after that, we had other encounters and experiences as well.
Well, and we still do. And you asked about other experiences. One time, our local group went up to, its normal location, and it was cold. It was wintertime. And again, I'm really bundled up. And next to me, we're in a big circle. And, when we're sitting in a circle outside, there are feet between each person in the circle.
Right.
So, there's at least 4 or 5, maybe 5 feet, because the person to my right was pretty far away. And I started to feel this warmth off to my right side. I thought, okay, it's nighttime. There's a slight breeze. It's
no
freaking
campfire
out.
Nighttime is the right time.
I'm sorry?
No campfire or anything?
No. Why would you have a campfire when you're looking for things in the dark?
That's a good point.
So, no.
To roast the marshmallows and the hot dogs in case you need snacks.
That's another good point.
Back
to back, good points.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so there was no normal earthly reason for there to be, warmth next to me. And I took off my mittens, and I could feel, the outlines of something. And I was like, hey, you guys, come over here. And almost everybody in the group came over, and they all felt it too. So there was a being standing right next to me.
Okay.
What it was or what it looked like, I don't know. But there was no normal explanation for that warmth.
Warm spot.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because we always hear, when it comes to apparitions, we always hear that there's cold spots. This will be like the first warm-blooded being that comes from the other side as a spirit.
But it's not, okay, but I think there's a difference between a living being that's maybe incorporeal, from another galaxy or whatever, or even another star in our galaxy, as opposed to somebody who's dropped his body and is only a spirit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're going with this, but I'm just saying, in general, the term, you're talking about an apparition like a spirit or a ghost or some kind of entity like that. Normally, we've been told, at least for a long period of time, that there always are cold spots associated with these kind of apparitions. So the fact that it's a warm spot, it's kind of strange. It's different.
Well, we're in the network of ET.
Or am I off on that, by the way? Is there like a trend of warm spots being associated with apparitions?
If you're asking me on the ghost hunting side, no.
Yeah, I don't think so. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'll address that in the ET Let's Talk network. We have teams all over the world that are doing this human-initiated contact every month, like clockwork, for the last 4.5 years. I hear lots of stories that are reported back to me about different and varied kinds of ET encounters. Among those stories are other encounters with feelings of warmth as well from entities, and sometimes people will actually see ETs, not just have the feeling. So the warmth is not. In fact, I don't hear the cold really mentioned that much.
Well, maybe the cold spots are for the human apparitions, and the warm spot is for the aliens apparitions. So that's could be the difference.
Yeah, maybe that's just like a general top level kind of differentiation you can make. But what I want to do is, for your audience, is put this into a larger context, in that what Hollis and I are describing are our personal and varied over time stories of contact. And in the ET Let's Talk community at ETLetsTalk.com. Remember, I'm good at
plug.
Remember that. ETLetsTalk.com. We have 5,000 members in 50 countries or more, and we do this every month. So we do it very consciously and deliberately, linking up with each other in meditation, kind of as a community. We may never, most of us, meet each other, but because of this particular interest, we join in our visualization and in our meditation as a kind of united group, coordinating our ET contact, and then we report back to each other on the website the experiences we've had. So what Hollis and I have been describing here is by no means we're not special. We just learned we just learned how to do a certain protocol to connect. Hundreds, if not thousands, of other people have done the same thing. And
in fact, when we spoke last time, you said that anybody could learn how to really do this if they really try and put their mind to it, right? Right, and the key thing is, and I'm going to get new agey here on you, but it's vibration and intention, which means if you approach it with any fear or really a skeptical heart and spirit, kind of a kick the tires, prove it to me attitude, you're not setting up the kind of like open, welcome collaboration that many of these advanced civilizations really are going to tune into. However, if you approach them with goodwill and open heart, a welcoming spirit, and even if you're not maybe sure, but are at least open to the fact that you might have an experience, then you're good to go. And if you're lucky enough to find one or more other people to join you in a group, you join together and do group meditations, and everyone seems to roll their own kind of meditation, but they carry those same values all along, that openness that I mentioned, the goodwill, the love that they approach these civilizations with. And I tell you, people get results. Just this last weekend when we had one of our monthly events, my LA team had flyovers of actual objects that they could see. I mean, not just distant lights in the sky that would flash on and off and move erratically, which a lot of us get, but objects that had shape and color and pulsing lights and made no noise and were close enough, and there were multiple ones, to be seen that way. And that's a dramatic result, but it's by no means unique. Other people have had that. So the question is really not just about the lights in the sky, but who are the pilots of these? Why are they here? Why do they want to contact with us? We're pretty violent species. You could ask yourself, why the hell would they bother? You're right? Like, nuts down here. But and if you follow what Dr. Michio Kaku has said about the way civilizations evolve, we're a type 0 civilization, and for us to make that leap to type 1, we might not even get there because we might blow ourselves out of existence because we're such a war-fearing race and we love to battle each other. So,
hold on, here's another theory. Don't forget, I mean, we might be just being bred to be a warlike species, to be cannon fodder in some other species' war.
Honestly, I don't believe that.
I don't know about that either, but yeah.
I don't actually believe that our extraterrestrial friends will let that happen. Earth is too good a planet to lose.
Well, it's a great breeding ground, but think about it. How much of our prehistory has been wiped clean time and time again?
True. Very true.
Well, that may be true, as we're discovering with ancient astronauts and stuff and in archaeology. But the point is, we're focused in the now, and we have, like today, an opportunity when truly humanity has the ability to obliterate practically all life on Earth. We believe, and actually we've been told in the context we've made with ET intelligence, that they're here by their millions for many civilizations because we are such at a tipping point where we can destroy it all, and because they have gone through that and succeeded in surviving. They're here wanting to help on a mass scale. Now, I'm not saying there maybe aren't bad actor alien races that have been out there, but our latest information is that those have been removed. And that what is left now is a real unique opportunity to engage the benevolent ones and end this truth embargo that's been hiding them, that all the governments have been clamping.
Well, here's a question, though, Kostas, and this is a very, very easy way for them to address their existence. Why don't they just show up and just make themselves known to the entire planet? Land on the White House lawn, land on in Area 51, or land on national TV when they're doing something on ABC, and they just
land
on the
land
anywhere.
In front of the UN building,
Land in front of, you could land inside of a football field or a baseball field when a game's going on. Nobody's going to miss a UFO if it lands in the middle of a baseball field, believe me. And the way the Marlins are playing nowadays, it would be a nice distraction because they're terrible. So you can Put a UFO there on the baseball city here in the baseball stadium here in Florida. It'll be better than what the actual games is, believe me, and it'll get a lot more attention. I mean, why don't they just do that? Why don't they just come out and just say, okay, people, you guys have issues, and we are here to help.
We have been so programmed by the powers that were to fear anything that shows up. Can you imagine? I mean, look, there's a whole swath of America that can't accept our president because he's biracial.
Oh, I agree. But here's the thing, and I'm going to equate this to...
That's somebody that's not even human.
Well, here, I'm going to equate this to...
hold on. Is different. Is blue or green. No,
yeah, but it's all about hold on, but it's all about that, getting over that first hump of, it's weird, but once you see them, for a period of time, you get used to it. It's like when you first go to a strip club and you're excited because you've never seen a naked girl before, and you're going and you're like, oh man, she's going to be naked. And it's great, but then after 10 minutes, you're like, okay, it's a naked girl, and you get used to it. You get desensitized to it. Now, I'm not saying the aliens are equal to naked women, not saying that, but the point is the same. Once you see them enough times, you'll be like, okay, it's an alien. Okay, he's different. That's
an enlightened kind of tolerant attitude that I think a lot of people have. Well, you just answered your own question. Maybe that's what they've been doing. The media's really clamped down in the U.S. Let me just tell you that. Other parts of the world, though, there's a lot more belief, and there have been a lot of sightings that have made mainstream media than what we've been accustomed to here. So, in effect, ET races, various stripes, have been showing themselves bit by bit, sometimes broad daylight, fleets of them, to thousands of witnesses for decades. And the reason you're asking this question is because you live in the frickin' United States, and there are 5 media companies that own every newspaper, radio station, magazine, television station, and they're part of a truth embargo. Don't get me started.
Are you saying they're lying to us? Is that what you're saying? That they lie on CNN?
About wars of opportunity and so many other things.
And I'm sorry, you asked why they didn't show up in mass? Remember the Phoenix Lights? Remember that?
Yeah, but they didn't land anywhere. It's not like they landed and they're like, okay, take me to your dealer or whatever.
A ship that was seen by 10,000 people for 2 miles.
But against him, unless they landed and got out, it doesn't count.
Yeah, and the Phoenix Lights could also have been a hoax. It could have been a number of different things. I'm not sold on the Phoenix Lights. That's a little bit iffy.
Oh, that was real. I was just trying to make fun of it to reassure people, which I'm not sure makes
even
sense.
The governor admitted it.
Oh, I know the government came on and said, there was lights, but again, it could have been a number of things. I mean, it doesn't exactly have to mean
people that were there underneath the thing, and they know what they saw. And they
saw lights.
They watched lights in a coherent shape, moving slowly for many miles, and they actually even followed them underneath for a while.
But we also got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this country and many countries like ours are engineering all kinds of different aircrafts that we don't know about. And black budget projects are going on all the time. And guess what? They need to test fly these things. And I'm pretty sure a lot of times when these things have been test flown, somebody has seen it and they're like, oh my God, that must have been an alien. No more moonshine for me tonight. And that's partly responsible for some sightings.
Sure
not all, but some.
I agree it's partly responsible. And where do you think they got that technology? When you look at some of the Disclosure Project's tapes, video.
Tesla and Einstein. They're the only ones.
Well, no,
only Tesla and Einstein.
The witnesses have come out of the Black Ops programs that you referred to, which do exist, saying basically, we've shot down a few. Our boys dragged them back into a hangar, and we studied them and reverse engineered the technology and started building our own.
Yeah, but none of that means... Yeah, but just because somebody says that doesn't mean it's real. Here's the thing. Have you heard of the Tesla UFO? Have you done any homework on that?
No.
Okay, Tesla was working on a UFO before he died. When he died, it was in the 40s, remember? When he died, guess what happened? The United States government took control of everything he was working on. They completely went through all his paperwork, all of his projects that he was working on, including the Tesla UFO. And guess what happened right around that same time period? We defeated the Nazis, right? We inherited all their German scientists, all those brilliant minds that were in the Nazi German camps that were working for Hitler. We brought them over to the U.S., Werner von Braun and all these guys, who probably, and from some rumors, were working on some kind of aircraft very similar, the Hanabu or whatever it was called. They were working on something very similar UFO type of thing.
Engineered stuff too.
No. There supposedly wasn't reverse engineered as much as it was given to them through a spiritual medium. That's the rumor or the theory. Okay. It was like they made contact with some spirit, alien guide, and they gave them the technology. That's the rumor. We don't know if that's true or not. That's just one of the working theories. There really is no official story, but that is the theory, that they had something they were working on that had to do with UFOs. What we do know for a fact is that Tesla was working on a UFO. The government took all his work. They completely turned it into a black budget project. And my belief is what crashed at Roswell is some of the same technology that Tesla was working on. That technology, they were test flying it to see if it worked. It crashed. They had to cover it up. Because guess what? What's a bigger conspiracy? Alien crash at Roswell? They could cover that up. Or Nazi-built UFOs that is using Tesla technology crashes at Roswell. Which is a bigger story to cover up?
But the thing is, there were alien bodies recovered, and there were people who testified to that, and that's just Roswell. And let me address something else too. Much of what you say, there's truth to that human-engineered projects have been responsible for some of the sightings.
Definitely.
But what did I see that materialized in front of me? A 6-foot sphere for half an hour in front of 10 other people at Mount Shasta in 2006 in September. That wasn't a Nazi thing. It wasn't Nikola Tesla laughing at me. It was a real sphere, and other people saw the inhabitants inside, small beings, and it was real for half an hour, and then it dissolved away. That's just my one experience. I can tap right now 6 people I know who've had up close and personal experiences like that, and some of them with actual beings that stood in front of them and telepathized with them,
or entered them,
or entered into their consciousness and spoke with them. Okay, and so there's that whole slew of encounters there, in addition to what you're referring to, what might have been reverse engineered from down crashes or engineered through Tesla stuff.
Tesla technology, yeah.
So I'm saying it's possible there's a mix of all this.
Oh, definitely. Oh, I'm with you 100%. I don't think that it's all just one thing.
Yeah.
There's definitely there's definitely some paranormal going on when it comes to aliens and UFOs, and there's definitely some stuff that happens that we just cannot explain. I believe Travis Walton was abducted. I think he was taken. Hold on. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Abducted is a strong word. Travis Walton wasn't abducted. Travis Walton stumbled upon something that he should not have been stumbling upon, a UFO in the middle of the woods. He ran to it like a curious person, like any one of us would probably do, who's curious, and he just, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think, like Travis thinks, and me and him have had this discussion before, Alan, you know this, I believe that he was killed accidentally, brought to the ship, and they fixed him. And that's why I don't think he was abducted as much as he was saved because of a goof. That's kind of what I think happened. But I do believe his story. I think he really woke up in the ship. I think he saw the beings. I think he saw the aliens that looked like humans. I think all that stuff really happened to that man. So I'm with you. There is stuff that we cannot explain as conventional black budget projects. The Phoenix Lights, though, I'm going to go with black budget project on that. I mean, that seems to me like it's right around the time period where a lot of stuff was being tested. Look, the stealth bomber for a long time was being, misidentified as a UFO. That stuff happens. It just does happen. But you're absolutely right, though. Again, it's not the only answer. And what you saw could have possibly been either interdimensional beings or some kind of alien activity that really is legit. Because there is legit alien activity. I do believe that. Just to clear that up.
And let me segue then perfectly from what you're saying into what we're really doing in the ETLetsTalk.com community, which is we are self-styled experts. I mean, anybody who's been out in the field and made this contact, and the contact happens in so many varied ways, and maybe some of it is mistaken, but an awful lot is not explained and is very compelling. We're proving that ordinary people are the experts now, because the government has lied to us so much about so many things, not just this topic, as you know. People are really fed up. I mean, Congress has a lower rating approval than car salesmen. And
ouch, I'm one of those
banana slugs, I think. So What's the answer? It's the People's Disclosure Movement. We're training people to go out in teams and do their own investigation. And maybe some of them will be wrong, but a lot of them are going to uncover things that would have never happened otherwise. And
Definitely.
As part of this community, we're not going to sit there and poo-poo them and tell them, no, it was swamp gas, it was Chinese lanterns, we don't believe you. We listen to each other and we tell our stories. And yeah, if we think that something is explainable, we tell each other that and just say it straight up. No, man, that really sounds like
it's funny you mentioned the Chinese lanterns, because you know how many people were fooled for decades with the Chinese lanterns?
How many? How many people exactly?
At least a dozen, maybe two.
I heard
seriously.
14. Okay.
Hundreds and hundreds. I mean, over the years, people were duped by the Chinese lanterns because if you look at it from a certain way and a certain distance, it kind of looks like a thing in the sky. Let's not even go with the with the Rendlesham Forest case. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with that case also.
I've heard enough about it. I haven't made up my mind on it. But here's again the thing: is I want to stress to your audience. There's a great deal of history, and we allude to it here, and you can buy books and go to conventions. There are movies, there's speakers, lectures, everything. We're not about that anymore. That's all there is background if you want it, but in the ETLetsTalk.com community, we're making the future. It's like, okay, let's invent our own, or let's experience our own, not invent it. Let's go out and try it for ourselves and see where we're going to go with it. The past is wonderful, but once we've had our own encounter, then we don't need an expert to tell us what we've seen. And that's authentic. And we share that with each other. That's empowering. And
I definitely agree. Here, I got a question for both of you, and you can answer, whichever wants to answer it first. Do you think we will get disclosure by the government, or will it be something accidental that the aliens just kind of like crash land in a place where they can't cover up?
I don't know. I don't think the crashes are anything other than accidents on, somebody or other's part. We're not going to go there. Honestly, in my deepest heart, I think the governments are going to be forced to acknowledge that this is all real by, they're not going to have a choice, is my gut sense.
And keep in mind, all it takes is one really courageous government to really break it open. 10 years ago, there were no internet sites where UFO files from official government sources were opened up. Today, I don't know, there's maybe a couple dozen countries that have actually opened up their files, put them on the internet, where you can search them. Now, granted, 95% of those are explainable UFO sightings, but 5%.
Well, what they say is explainable, not
it's explainable.
Actually,
right. But what I'm saying is that amount of disclosure has happened that was kind of unthinkable 10 years ago. What the next 10 years brings, I can't say. But, all it would take is, think about it, a major country like Russia or China decides they're just going to blow the whole thing open and come out and make the announcement first and beat the Americans to it.
Which makes you wonder why that hasn't happened yet, especially with the way the U.S. is hated all over the world. If another country who's one of our enemies, for example, comes out and says, like Pakistan, for example, comes out and says, hey, the United States have been sitting on this technology for years. They've been lying to their own people. They've been lying to the world. They're a bunch of liars. That would be devastating if they had some kind of evidence and proof and they just put it out there. You wonder why that hasn't happened, considering the wars and all the stuff that goes on and the amount of hatred that there is for the United States around the world. Why hasn't that happened? Why hasn't one of these countries come forward and said, you know what, forget the U.S., this is what they've been lying about, and here it is. It's shocking, but it hasn't happened.
I agree with you. I want to know the answer to that question, too, because I don't believe the U.S. government is the only one that's been hiding and has information. Like I said before, these objects have been seen practically in all countries of the world, major and minor. And I continue to get reports from my teams from Estonia, from everywhere.
But the reality is that what's going on is not only stranger than people imagine, it's probably stranger than most people can imagine.
I agree with that, yeah. I think the reality of what's happening is so much weirder and stranger than what we think is the reality. That might be why it's being kept a secret from us. Yeah.
Yeah, but are we going to see before we die, in our generation, will we actually get the real information out there? That's the question.
I think so.
Sure.
I think so, yes.
I hope so.
It's not stoppable. It's only a question of when.
Yes, I agree. Not if, but when. And with the internet now, it will just take one crack in that whole egg there to let the whole thing come running out. I don't know what that will be or when it will be, but we'll be sitting around a table saying, that's what it took.
My issue with the internet is look what we were talking about earlier. Like, for example, the Roswell slides or the alien slides. When you have stuff like that comes out and it gets a big buzz and everybody's talking about it, and then you find out it's a hoax.
Well, there's a lot of disinformation, right? And the best disinformation is lies mixed with the truth. But if enough people, this is actually why I like to train people to open up psychically, because when you get information from your own deepest sources, you can really discern what's true and what's not from outside sources.
Okay. You'll be able to smell the BS, in other words.
Yeah, and each person needs to have, his or her own truth meter. Mm. And once we all have that, and of course it's possible, right? Kosta before said we're all connected. I disagree. We're all literally one. And therefore, each of us, if we could get rid of our various filters, many of which have been programmed into us, have access to what is really the truth. And the more of us that open up, the more of us that have that access, the sooner the BS goes away.
It could be very possible that the reason we're not told about their existence and we're being kept in the dark is because we're the only race that doesn't have that beehive mentality where everything's about the queen and they're all like worker slaves or worker bees. We try to, at least we have the illusion of free will on this planet. That might not be the case all over the galaxy. I mean, look at the animal kingdom on this planet. It's completely different than us.
Well, some species are more different from us than others. But, there are plenty of species that are relatively, again, free will. They associate with their own kind, but that doesn't mean that it's a hive soul.
No, but I mean, even, for example, even creatures that mimic humans in some areas, they do kind of have the leader of the pack. The leader of their tribe or their community. I mean,
they have the
monkeys,
alpha.
Chimps. Yeah, they have the alpha males. I mean, that always happens.
Hello? We don't?
Oh, you're trying to call Obama the alpha male?
Actually, I was thinking of smaller groups, right? Every little group of teenagers knows exactly what the pecking order is.
True.
So
That's true.
I'm not talking about big things. I'm talking about little things. We have the same thing.
True, but it's different in the sense of, because if we disagree with the alpha male, we could say, hey, I don't agree with that, and I'm walking away from this scenario. In the jungle, there's no disagreeing with the alpha male. You do as you're told.
Or you're killed.
Yeah, and
that's
I
the difference.
Would argue that there are consequences here too. It's actually a huge issue, I think, for all of humanity, is that telling the truth is not safe.
That's very true. And you know what is not safe also?
What?
If we continue past this hour, because our boss is going to be very upset there. So we're almost out of time, and I want to give you the chance to, once again, give out the link before we go off air.
Okay, ETLetsTalk.com, ETLetsTalk, community of 5,000 people, 50 countries. Membership is free. We do monthly contacts, daily, weekly, whenever we want. And on the website, you can find other people on a global map. They're a visual map who are around you or around the world to join in with you in making the contact. That's what the community is about. And also there's instructions on how to do the ET contact. So I welcome people to join what's a growing movement. If you go to Facebook today and type in CE-5, you will see groups all over the world who weren't there just a few years ago now growing and experimenting and doing contact on their own. So that's what we're about, and that's my plug.
And I'll just And I'll do, if you don't mind, a quick plug for my site too. If anybody wants to call me for a reading, my phone number is 888-4HOLLIS, HOLLIS, and my website is www.888-4hollis.com. So it's easy to find me either way.
Very cool. Thank you both for being on here tonight.
It was great talking to you.
Always fun having Kosta on and Hollis. You're a doll. You're awesome. Thank you for being here with us also. And please, both of you, I want to have you back on in the near future. It's just always an enlightening conversation when you're on.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate the opportunity, you guys. Be
Take
well.
care.
Take care.
Have a great night.
Folks, we're all out of time. Keith Rowland over there is ticking the clock away at me and telling me we got to get going. This is Skywatchers Radio. We are going to wrap up another exciting episode. Alan, it's been a good one.
Absolutely, it has.
It's been fun. Everybody will be back next week right here on the Dark Matter Radio Network and, of course, as always, PSN Radio. Skywatchers Radio will be live again next week. In fact, Alan, we have like nonstop live shows for the next couple of months. Are you ready for that?
Oh, I absolutely am, and I think we got some really, really good guests on the way, too.
Oh, no kidding. Guess who's going to be on next week? Take a wild guess.
Guess.
Darth
Vader.
Guess.
Darth Vader.
Close. Stephen Bassett.
Ooh.
Yeah, talking about Disclosure, baby. That's right. Steve Bassett will be back on Skywatchers next week. Stick around. More Dark Matter Radio Network and PSN Radio coming up.